The other day I was wondering if there had been any advancements in the development of headphones for small heads. So I went to Google and I said, Google, show me headphones for small heads. And Google said, look at this video by your cool Uncle Marissa. And I stared at Google in horror. Because Google, I am your cool Uncle Marissa. I was doing some searching of other, relevant search terms. One thing that I've always said is a lot of times on-ear headphones can just be over-ear headphones if you have a smaller head. And so that's one way to get around it. My Bayer Dynamics that I talk about in one of my headphones for small heads videos is a great example of that. It is perfectly over-ear for me, while there are many complaints in the reviews that, they're really uncomfortable, they're very on-ear. But I noticed that apparently the production of on-ear headphones in the American market, at least, has greatly decreased. I was barely seeing any. I saw a few that were like DJ headphones, and DJ headphones are usually on the smaller side, so it does make sense. But for the most part, nothing, and especially nothing new. But then I clicked on a link for e-earphones. E-earphones is a Japanese headphone audio superstore. I would like to go there. Thank you. And they have a huge selection of on-ear headphones. And what was kind of annoying is there are some brands which distribute their products in the US, which offer on-ear headphones that are smaller, or even over-ear headphones that are smaller, but not in the US. So that's depressing, isn't it? I also found some brands that I'd never heard of. I feel like we know a lot of Japanese audio brands, Sony, JVC, but there are ones that exist that we've never heard of, that are Japan only in their production, or at the very least Asia only. And as I was going through these headphones and thinking, I really should plan that trip to Japan, so hopefully a bundle of cash will fall into my lap, there's just no way I'm gonna buy headphones from Japan without hearing what they sound like. I just wanted to see what there is, and then I saw these. This is one of those Japanese-only brands, Ashidavox. Ashidavox is a headphone brand in Japan. They are very proudly made in Japan, and I had never ever heard of them. But look at this. This is vibes. This is so cute. It's very retro in a way that I haven't seen any company produce when they're trying to be retro. I found a few articles that were in Chinese or Japanese. I read some of the reviews, and it sounded like they sounded fine for their price, and there maybe was a bit of a premium for the aesthetic. Now, they come in two versions, the 07 and the 05. The 05 was the original one and is around 6,600 yen, which I would say is like mid 50, 60 US dollars. And the biggest complaint with that seemed to be that it's rather tinny, rather heavy on the highs, very low on the bass. Then they came out with the -07, which is the pair that I have. And the only way you can see the difference really is that this little tag right here, the 05 has a circular outline that says like made in Japan and stuff. And this one, the outline is clean. There's no text there. And the 07 apparently fixes a lot of those issues. There's more bass, more fullness, and it is 9,000 yen, which would be around, I guess, like 80 bucks. So it's not a cheap headphone, but it's not a high-end headphone. And I mean, as you have probably seen from the thumbnail, from me showing it to you, I got it, and it's just, I was so enamored by it. I was so enamored by the size and the fact that it's kind of like, I thought the pads were very interesting. We'll sit down at my desk and take a look at it. They seem very comfy and thick, and they are true on-ear headphones, and they are not open back, which is another thing I've noticed. A lot of smaller headphones right now are all open back, and that gives you a lot of limitations. You cannot wear them outside. Because other people will hear your music and you will hear other people. a lot, very loudly, very clearly. That's the point. That's what makes them sound so gorgeous, is that it's open. My LED light died, so if this is a slightly different shade of purple that is also darker, no, it is. Yeah, it is. I went a bit on the marketplaces, and I think I found this secondhand for maybe $50, which I think is a phenomenal price for what it is. So how does it sound, especially in comparison with other things? It sounds good. It sounds good. It's nothing phenomenal. You know, I didn't sit there and put them on and think, well, I did think, wow, these sound better than I thought they would, given their stature and everything. They also were very powerful, very easy to drive. And I was like, oh, these sound good. You know, I wasn't like, oh, I've never heard these notes before. They sound very robust. They are very good on the highs, but they also have a nice bass, which is, you know, for headphones in this style is quite impressive. But most of all, they're fun. It's a fun sound because, so just taking into consideration like my daily rotation of headphones or weekly or monthly, what have you. So I have my Great OSR 80Es, which they're for like when you want to listen to music and have it be beautiful. They're open back. It has to be indoors. It has to be in a quiet setting. But it is an experience. It is an out-of-body experience. It feels like the first time I ever heard them, I was like, these sound like it's the first time I'm trying headphones on. Even when I went to the headphone shop and I tried the 125s, I felt that all over again. No, you know what? I actually tried the 225s, so I might get those, but I must not try the 325s. I do not have the means. You know, it's gorgeous, but it's just not a outdoor thing. The other pair I have is the DT240 Pro from Beyerdynamic, which is, I believe, discontinued at this point, unfortunately. And they sound like closed back headphones. You know, it sounds like the sound you're hearing is all contained. You know, it doesn't feel like you're on a stage, but it's nice and it's robust and it is correct. And if you listen to it too hard, it's kind of boring because that's what it is. It's a reference monitor. It's so that you can do things like sound mixing. It's so that you can hear what is being outputted. They're also not the most comfortable headphones of the bunch by a long shot. They are pretty heavy. I assume they wouldn't be heavy for someone who's used to heavier headphones, but you know, they're absolutely not something I would want to wear out. For example, right now in the summer in New York City where it's hitting like 90 and above, my ears would just be sweating. It would be little saunas, and then like the weight would probably feel even worse. So they're nice, but the thing is I just don't find myself reaching for them. And so that's where the gap kind of is I didn't really have anything to wear outside and listen to music outside. And when I got these, I kind of was like, oh, I guess these wouldn't be it either because they sit on your ears, and I was like, surely there is sound leak. But I plugged them into my audio player and I was playing music, and I was telling my girlfriend, like, tell me when you can start hearing leak. And she couldn't hear anything even when it was too loud for comfort. And I think it really is because the cups are so plush that where the sound comes from really just focuses on your ear. So that was incredibly impressive. And therefore, these have become my going out headphones. Also, if you are a small head, I'll put these on. You can see what they look like. But you can move the cups up and down. They're a little tight, which is good because you don't want them super loose. And you can also move them back and forth to really get a nice seal. It's very possible to just put them on and just have them kind of sit on your ears. But once you tilt them, you get that seal. And yeah, you know, they look normal on me. They look suitable on me. And it sounds fun. It sounds robust. It sounds full. I feel like I can hear everything. And I feel like, you know, it makes you want to nod along, tap your toe, dance to the music, whatever the extent of your joy is when you hear a track. But let's go to my desk and take a closer look at it. Here it is, the Ashidavox ST-90. It is a very interesting design. Before we get into it, you know, I love my comparisons. Let's take a look at it with the Sony MDR006, because these are the kind of quintessential Walkman headphones that a lot of people have been trying to emulate recently. I think Fio came out with a like really cheap, like sub 21 that is supposed to emulate this look. I really like these. I've sang their praises before, but it's also kind of hard to sing their praises properly, because I think that if you find these at a thrift store or something for like under $10, they are worth the praise. But please, like, there's so many companies like Retrospect and stuff who are selling them for insane prices, and they are not worth that much. No one is gonna care that you have these on for longer than 5 minutes. You deserve to listen to better sound if you're dishing out that much money. But these are also just fantastic for smaller heads as well, and these are kind of what I like to have on at home if I'm just listening to a video or need to check something that is audio based. It is funny because I think I have seen people with larger heads who are trying to get into that Walkman 90s 80s aesthetic, be like, oh, these Walkman headphones are so popular, they're too small for my ears. For size comparison, you can see that obviously the ears on this are significantly smaller. They're half the size, quite literally, and the headband is also significantly smaller. So the first thing you might notice with this is, what is interesting about this is I think that this would work with people with large heads, because what is going on with this band? This band is absolutely humongous, and this gave me worry that I was like, is this not gonna fit my head? But it does, and the ear cups are leather and small, and they are replaceable. There's replacements available to buy quite readily in Japan. So I'll probably import like a pack of them just to have on hand. And you have the way that these move is they're quite stiff, which makes it a little hard to adjust on the go. However, the benefit of that is they're not going to slide down. Also, the fact that they're down here does protect your hair. Not that those Sony ones or anything similar has ever caught on my hair, but the Cos Porta Pro is always like, how do you stop it from pulling your hair? And it's like, well, have you tried being bald? And I personally would rather not do that. This wire makes me a little bit nervous because this is a point of failure, potentially. And then from there, you can move the cup up or down and sideways. And that helps actually get a quite nice grip on your head. The other thing is this wire. It's in there. That is the second point of failure that I worry about, because I really like it when they're detachable, because then if the wire gets damaged, you can just replace it. Easy as that. Unfortunately, this is not the case here. You probably would have to solder in a new wire. But the wire itself is very nice. It's very, it's like thick and hefty without being heavy. Another thing I really appreciate is the 90-degree angle headphone jack. I always appreciate it. This is conversely something that is the opposite of a point of failure. It helps it not feel so stressed. There will be less this and that way on it that can cause the wires to fray or be damaged. So big fan of this 90-degree angle. Beautiful, beautiful pair of headphones. Just wanted to give you that up-close look. My girlfriend calls these style of headphones the Language Lab headphones, because they would have that in her school at the Language Lab, and I feel like I've seen them in school labs. Maybe this is a false memory, but even as late as in college. It's late? As early? As recently as in college, but I'm not sure. I might be making them up. But it's like if someone took the Language Lab headphones and shrunk them, because those things will absolutely devour my head. And these are perfectly comfortable. As you can see, the ergonomics are pretty fantastic. I love the 90-degree headphone jack. As I said, the only point of concern for me is the fact that it's not a removable wire. Another thing that I should share is I'm not able to wear dangly earrings with it because the metal prongs here, when my earrings hit these, the sound causes microphonics, which means I can hear the sound of my earrings hitting them. And so that's definitely a downside. Of course, you'll notice this isn't a Cool Uncle Reviews. It's not a headphones for small heads. It's just a Cool Uncle's Corner on this headphone in particular. And the reason for that is I don't really want to share it as a product because I don't know if it's necessarily worth importing or even paying a lot, like $100-something for to get off eBay. I just didn't see a lot of English language videos or blog posts or anything at all really talking about this headphone in particular. So I just wanted to put something out there. So if anyone, for example, is in Japan and sees one and is curious about it, or if you just find it the way I did and you're curious about it, I hope that this video gave you a little bit more insight into what it's like on a practical level. Personally, for me, I think if I'd paid the MSRP of about $80 for this, even if I'd just gone into the store in Japan, paid $80 and left, I think I might have been a little bit disappointed once the novelty and the comfort and stuff, I got over that, because I don't know if the sound justifies that, but at the same time, then you get to, right, well, but is there anything that sounds so nice and robust with this form factor when you're someone with a smaller head who has so many more limited options? Although I suppose in this hypothetical scenario, if you are in that superstore, you probably do have more options. But for the used price that I paid, I think that it was the perfect price for them. Either way, I hope this was an entertaining video. I would love to know what you think about the headphones. I'd love to know what your daily headphones are. A huge thank you to my Ko-fi supporters. I was kind of on a unannounced hiatus for about a month and a half, or maybe even two. So I appreciate you sticking with me. If you are interested in getting monthly game reviews and other little videos or write-ups on stuff that I do that I don't post on my main channel, Ko-fi is a great way to do it. It's like $2 a month, and yeah, you can also join my Discord. I have been told that apparently I don't advertise it enough. If you would like to chat, we've got a neat little community. And if you ever want to be like, hey, Marissa, are you alive? You haven't posted in forever. You can probably find me on Discord. I'm pretty active there. Another thing I would love to know actually is I need to work on an actual like audio test playlist instead of just shuffling my songs and listening to a bunch of like whatever is convenient and trying to shuffle through like to find different genres. So let me know also what your favorite songs are to test audio equipment with. I might just add them to my playlist, and I'll try to share that if I do get around to making one. All that being said, I have been your Cool Uncle Marissa, and don't forget that you are always welcome at Cool Uncle's house. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.